isn't the answer. Could you repeat the question? Hello, I'm Pat Coakley, and welcome to PodSnacks Art of the Diet, the weekly podcast that each week tries to ask the right question about how to maintain a significant weight loss. You can access all the episodes on www.ArtoftheDiet.com. Okay. I just have to paint the scene for you in episode 135 of PodSnacks ArtoftheDiet.com. I am dressed like Nanook from the north. I am seated in my car, and the car is off because I can't record and have the car on at the same time because of interfering noise. Why can't I be in my house? Because we've had 2 storms in 5 days, and the lady who cleans my house, she's been homebound herself and gone berserk. And so today was the only day she could get out. So she arrived at my door just before I was going to start recording. And so I'm out here in the car trying to think, how am I going to make episode 135 worth it for you to listen to? Because truly, I have nothing wise at the top of my brain to share with you. So I decided I'll just talk about what I did during the 2 storms because it was instructive to me how one really needs to have a plan. So the first storm, where I lost power for 19 hours, but I was able to get in the car and find a way to Dunkin' Donuts so I could get coffee. And it happened to be attached to a 7-Eleven store, so I could also get chips. And I could also get Reese's Bits and Pieces, whatever that is called. Now, was that part of the plan? No, it wasn't. But as soon as I lost power and nothing in my refrigerator looked interesting, or perhaps even healthy to eat if the power's been off long enough, I'm thinking, I need something. So, over the course of the 19 hours, I went to the Y to walk because the Y had power. So I was able at least, believe it or not, to clock about 13,000 steps on that day without power because I went to the Y 4 times because it was warm and my place was cold. So I did 14,000 steps. And in addition to the bag of chips, I had a half a bag of those Reese's peanut butter pieces with, like my 4th cup of coffee. And I thought, life is good. Life is good. All it took was a bag of chips and some Reese's pieces. And I just sort of smiled because I said, really it comes down to this. There is just a bit of pleasure that are in these foods that are not in any others. And I had not really cooked, which I usually do when I know there's a storm coming, but I didn't. I just didn't take it that seriously. So I didn't have any real food alternatives. Okay, so now we've got a little piece of snow equipment that you may hear in the background because this is a condo, and so they do the snow removal, and it's always done in stages. And we had 23 inches of snow this last storm. So, I can hear it. So you'll probably be able to hear it too. But anyway, I can't go back inside, and I can't find any silence on the outside. So this is my only alternative. So anyway, I got through that first storm and, didn't go hog wild, just had my little treats. But there wasn't all that much to eat in my house, so it's not like I had a whole lot to eat. So, plus I had done almost 13,000 steps. All right. Okay. Then over the weekend, I noticed, I ate a little of the cookie batter that I was making for my family. I had, some English muffins, which I hadn't had. And I thought, this is how it begins. Because I hadn't been doing sugar or wheat. And then you have the chips, then you have the Reese's peanut pieces, and then all of a sudden, something else winks at you that really wasn't winking at you the week before. And how easy it is to fall into it. So, on Monday, which was the day they predicted that the following day would be a real bad storm. And so on Monday, I'm thinking, all right, I have to prepare. I have to cook some stuff that I'll be able to eat, and it'll be appetizing, even cold. But I have to have something to choose. And I obviously am not going to return with bags of chips and Reese's peanut butter pieces. But the half of the Reese's peanut butter is still in my car, P.S. And it's right in the glove compartment. And I'm telling you right now, I'm not going for it. Because I said to myself, you need to go back to the no sugar, at least, and maybe do an English muffin a day in terms of grain or the equivalent, but that's it. And that's going to be my concession to the pleasure principle, because the more I think about this, the more I think this whole weight maintenance game is about the loss of pleasure in eating and how to keep the pleasure factor alive and keep oneself healthy at the same time. So my current configuration is an English muffin, whole wheat English muffin a day, and then all the rest of the nice food that I've been eating that has been nutritious and healthy, and the good carbs, the higher fat, but no added sugar, no grains. Okay, so I cooked on Monday night. You would have thought that the F troop was arriving at my door the next day. I had so much food. But there's something about knowing that you've got a variety of food in the refrigerator and not just one meal that makes me think, okay, I'm prepared for this. So this was a storm where there was no going out. It was a blizzard. There were 23 inches of snow, and it went all day. Thankfully, I didn't lose power, so I could do the heating up of the food that I had made the night before. But there wasn't one bit of walking around that I did because I couldn't get out. And unlike when I was losing weight 10 years ago or 9 years ago, whenever it was, I would do home exercises, in front of the TV or something. I just didn't want to do that. So I had my first day where I clocked, if I clocked 1,000 steps, I'm exaggerating. And yet I probably ate the same amount that I would have eaten had I been going to the Y or walking outside. So I thought, you know what? There is just always something to think about. And even though I was better prepared for this particular storm, if I had it to do over, I would add the exercise component. I would do my silliness in front of the TV. But I opted not to. So the bottom line for this, the storm preparation, the storm survival, for me, what I realized was that the storm part impacts not only your availability to go out and get things, but it may encourage you when you are out to get the wrong things, because the siege mentality descends and you're looking around for a little something that makes you feel good. So I'm going to do more research about the whole pleasure in food thing, because I do think it is a big connector for me, and managing it and managing to put some pleasure in food into my life is important for me to maintaining a balance. Now, I'm just going to close with a essay by Frank Bruni, who's in the New York Times, and he is a Trump critic, but this particular article was about his visit to Italy, where he used to live. And I'll put the link to the article in my show notes page on www.artoftheDiet.com/135. And he basically said that he did what he has never done before in visiting Italy, nor what he ever did when he lived there. He had the same exact meal 4 nights in a row. And it was a particular kind of pasta that was made a particular way. It was how he describes it is carbonara light. But he also said that's sort of saying that President Trump has a light problem with humility. You simply can't really parse it at all. I'm sure the meal was rich with cheese and rich in general, but it was simple in its ingredients. And he had it 4 nights in a row, and he said, I think this is because of Trump. And I laughed, because those of us that have been stricken since November 2016 really tend to blame almost all of our ills on this phenomenon. But he made it sound almost plausible, because he said one of the things that has been so consistent about this inconsistent man is the disruption and the chaos and things changing and things being said and then not said, and I'm going to do this and then I'm not going to do this, and this whole sense of not knowing. And that he himself decided that if he could eat the same thing 4 days in a row, it was going to help his mental health. And he did it. And I thought, thank you, Frank. There's so many ways where I say the same thing to myself every day and feel like I'm listening to the same thing every day. And I said, you know what? If I could justify eating that pasta meal 4 days in a row and blame it on Trump, I would too. But I do think the larger point is worth it, and that is that we need something consistent in our lives. And chaos does not breed good habits nor good mental health. We just simply can't live always with the rug pulled out from under. And I think that's where food management for me really is an important thing. And I saw a little bit of the negative effects in the first storm of not having the food cupboard managed properly, although I certainly didn't go out and, do the equivalent of a mortal sin. But at any rate, that's my story for this post-stormy week, and I am flippin' freezing out here, okay? It does look like I'm in Verikino, Russia. Those of you who remember the Julie Christie, Omar Sharif movie, Dr. Zhivago, remember Verikino, the ice palace. Just picture that, because that's what my world looks like right at the moment. Except Omar is not here. All right. So over and out. I hope you all are doing all right. And I can go inside now where it's warm.